Hello, I'm Casey Wilson, owner of Roseville Strength and Conditioning and one of your co-hosts of the Do or Do Not podcast. And this is...
I am his better half for now until Jeremy comes.
My better half just left about...
Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting you're married now.
Yeah, she's definitely the more attractive of the two.
Yes.
Not you, I mean me, but she's way more attractive.
Me too. Can't we do that?
All right, so today we are not going to talk about any Star Wars stuff. Like normally we'd talk about Skeleton Crew, but I refuse to watch any Star Wars stuff till Kathleen Kennedy's fired. So we're not talking any Star Wars. Have you watched?
No.
Skeleton? Okay, good for you, man. I'm proud of you. I'm going to give you here, right there. Keep up the fight.
Oh man,
I will refuse to watch Disney or purchase any Disney stuff besides the two dolls I purchased for my daughter, Flynn Rider and Rapunzel, because that's her new crush. Yeah. My 11-month-old granddaughter loves Tangled, so that's the new thing. So I bought her a couple of those. But I will not support Disney in any way. No more buying of, like, if I buy these, I will not buy any Disney ones. I'm thinking about, hey, like The Witcher, Game of Thrones, other ones, besides that. So today we're going to talk our top 5 Christmas movies.
It's our Christmas extravaganza.
Yes, it's almost Christmas time. Look at Nakatomi Plaza Christmas Party, 1988, baby. This guy, what does he wear?
Same
crap he always wears.
Same.
We even said this is the Christmas episode. You got to pick your top 5 Christmas movies. This guy shows up, nothing.
But I showed up.
And that is the thing that is the most impressive thing, because we were supposed to do this podcast a week ago, and Brad couldn't make it again. It was a good reason, but it was still a reason that he wasn't here. So
hashtag proud dad.
So anyway, we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna discuss the Tom Selleck autobiography.
I'm more excited about that than Christmas. But you need to take off your coat and let that shirt breathe, man.
It's cold in here, man. I'm gonna be chilly by the end. That's the thing is the office gets, when it's hot outside, it's hotter in here than the air conditioning, and when it's cold outside, it's colder because it's a small office in the back of the building. So
love it.
Unless I throw a heater in here, but we usually get warm anyway. So.
Yeah, I bring a lot of hot air.
Yeah, he does. It gets warm. It probably raises 5 degrees in here by the time we're done.
You'll be sweating into that little beanie.
All right, so first, before we get into our top 5, here's what I want to discuss.
All right.
And it's a discussion that's been happening for years. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie or not?
Absolutely. 100%.
Give your facts. Why is it?
It is a Christmas party. They wear Christmas costumes. It is Christmas music. It was released around Christmas time. It is everything you'd ever want in a Christmas movie, minus Santa. 100%. I don't even know why it's debatable.
I agree with everything you said.
Damn right. It might be on my list.
Now, there's some movies that are based at Christmas time that aren't really Christmassy. They're just at Christmas time, and they may throw like one song in there, or they'll discuss it a little bit, like Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
Rambo First Blood.
Yeah.
That was set at Christmas time. Those weren't Christmas movies. But Die Hard, Let It Snow at the end of the movie. I had to find out who sang that, like Dean Martin.
Ho, ho, ho on the guy's chest when he killed him?
Absolutely. I mean, it is all, he's flying, he's traveling at Christmas. What people do at Christmas time, travel on airplanes.
That's right. He has a present.
Same with Die Hard 2. Die Hard 1 and 2 are both Christmas movies.
That's right.
So I watch them almost every year. I did for years watch them every year, but now that I am married and stuff, it makes it harder. And we started watching it the other night, and she saw it was rated R, and she goes, "Savannah's still awake." And I was like,
"She got that leash."
Watch it when the boys are here, So
got the tight leash.
So anyway, she hasn't watched Die Hard in years, and so I'm like, well, there's scenes where there's posters with titties out, and there's cussing, and there's lots of killing, but in general,
Christmas movie.
It's a total Christmas movie. So we both agree, Christmas movie. But on my list, I did not include it because I went real traditional.
Okay.
But originally I had it at number 4.
Yeah.
But then I went, I wanted to be more traditional. Stuff that you really aren't going to watch at any other time of year than at Christmas time. Except for one movie that's on my list, you may watch it another time of the year, but mainly it's just a Christmas movie. So I took it off and I added just Christmas movies in. Traditional Christmas movies. So the criteria of our two lists, at least my list.
Yeah.
I don't know about his. My criteria was that I love it and feel a special sense of Christmas when I watched it. You know, that kind of awe, you see a house that's lit up properly like mine is.
Yeah.
You know, and stuff. When you see those things, you get a feeling of Christmas. It has to give you that feeling of the time of year. Do I want to watch it a second time? Do I want to watch it yearly as it comes out? And does it hold up the test of time?
Die Hard meets all of those.
It does, but it's just not a traditional, like, you know, Santa Claus, you know, reindeers, something along those lines, heartfelt, you know, like family type stuff. It is a family thing, but it's a lot of violence and stuff. So I just took it off mine. But it was at number 4 on the list. And then I took it out of the list. Didn't even give it in the honorable mentions because I just said, all right, I got to stick to those rules. Did you have any rules?
My rule was if it was on tonight, would I watch it? So if I was, first of all, we've done a lot of lists. This might be the hardest list we've ever done.
Because we only did 5.
Yeah.
And 2 honorable mentions, although I did write down a third one.
I could have put 75 movies down easy. So this was really hard. I'm still debating.
I don't know about 75.
Well, it's a lot. There's a lot.
I had to leave off so many. And so many that I watch, like, I'll just say A Christmas Story is not on my list, but I don't know why. Because there's just so good ones. And then honorable mentions, I'm looking at ones that I just love to have a special affection to me.
Yeah.
And Christmas Story does, but I just was like, when I started sorting them out, I go, if we're just going to do 5, these have to be ones I watch every year.
Yeah.
That I love. I love to share with other people too.
Yeah.
That haven't seen them. So I'm going to go first.
Go ahead.
Or you want to alternate back and forth like we did before?
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell us your 2 alternates?
All right. I did 3.
3.
Because one of them just had to be included. It had to be said, and I didn't know if you would include it.
The rules.
But I think it would be for both of us.
Okay.
That movie is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
High on my list. That is such a good one.
It is such a good one, but it was not on my list just because I don't watch it every year.
Yeah.
I watch it when I was a kid. I watched it every year because it was on CBS every year.
Yep.
And one of my other honorable mentions used to come on after it.
Frosty.
Nope.
No,
this is my dark horse one. I have 2 dark horses in my honorable mentions because they affected me as a kid.
I'm intrigued.
You know, so they really did. So Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Burl Ives. I have the soundtrack.
Yeah.
To all this Christmas music. Most of it is from like 3 of the songs, like Silver and Gold, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and Silver and Gold. I don't know. Anyway, there's Holly Jolly Christmas.
Okay.
That's literally like when people go, what's your favorite all-time Christmas song? It's really hard to. We didn't. We should have done that list too.
Oh my God, you'd kill me there.
But I have a Christmas playlist. It's pretty legit.
I bet you do. You go full hard.
It'll be on Friday and Monday. That's what'll be playing here in the gym.
That's
Christmas
awesome.
Music. And it's a wide variety, just like my regular workout playlist. So love Rudolph, but it did not make the list, but it was an honorable mention. All right, my 2 honorable mentions.
Yeah.
'Twas the Night Before Christmas.
Okay.
You know what that is? It came on after Rudolph a lot of times.
Yep.
What was it?
It was, you're going to put me on the spot. I remember watching it all the time because you're right. It was always on afterward.
It is just one of the song on it.
Wasn't there a mouse in there? Mice?
Yes.
See,
that's my boy right there. Yes.
I knew it.
'Twas the Night Before Christmas was the story of a very smart mouse kid because they could talk like humans.
It had wasn't he kind of Britishy with
he had like a nasally kind of nose.
Yeah.
He had glasses on, and he was the kid, and he wrote that Santa Claus didn't exist. And blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. And so Santa Claus sent back everybody in the town's letters, and said, then then they figured out it was this kid writing this letter and signed all my friends or whatever.
Yeah.
So the mouse lives in the clockmaker's house.
Yep.
So the clockmaker wants to get Santa to come, so he creates the clock tower.
Yep.
And it sings a song. So at midnight, when Santa's passing by, it'll sing the song. It's like, Christmas bells are calling Santa, Santa. And it was an awesome song. It gets stuck in your head. It's one of those that gets stuck in your head. And I couldn't find it on Spotify. I was going to play it, but I couldn't find it.
I think I own that movie.
I own that movie. I have it on DVD. And I have it on DVD, but then I also just like bought it on like Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
So like I have a few of those, including my other honorable mention, which I have on VHS tape.
Yeah. Old school.
And I also have it
old school
on my Amazon Prime list that I purchased.
Okay.
Oh, dang it. I took it off.
Oh, no.
I switched it out at the last second.
Oh, no.
All right, we just gotta say, The Night They Saved Christmas. We talked about last night. Jacqueline Smith, Art Carney.
Yep.
I took it off the list because it doesn't hold up special effects wise and stuff, but still love it.
Yes.
Still a good movie, and I show it to people when I have a chance. My other honorable mention is Christmas Vacation.
Okay. You're striking my list hard, but yes.
Yes, Christmas Vacation is an honorable mention. So go ahead and hit your honorable mentions now.
All right. Well, I'm going to add a third one because you did.
Okay.
What's so fun is that my kids are totally into Christmas, part of your advice, and they love this movie, and we've watched it I think 5 years now constantly. It's like my son's favorite movie of all time, and I had to put it in there. It is the Jim Carrey's Grinch movie.
Yep,
not the animation one.
It's good.
He nails for some reason, my son, whatever he does in the green costume, my son thinks it is hilarious. It is on. We've probably watched it 9 times already this week. Like, he just comes home from school. He wants to watch it. He wants to drive by your house at night, and he wants to go home and he wants to watch the Jim Carrey Grinch movie. And so that's my first honorable mention.
That's a good one.
The next one. Let me go to my list here. 4 Christmases.
Oh.
Rising Up the Ranks. It's a new movie, but my wife and I love it.
It's not that new. It's 14 years old.
Yeah, it is. It is good. It is so funny. We watch it every year. We watch it. We showed our friends the other day. We watched it with them, and they laughed through it the whole time. And it is so good. Highly recommended.
Vince Vaughn. I have two Vince Vaughn movies in my top 5.
It is so good. It is really, really good. And then my number 6, top one that was very tough, Die Hard. It was, to me, we watch it every year at my friend's house. Shout out Scott. He's one of our dear listeners. He knows we're going to watch it probably this weekend. Bunch of us go to his house. We all dress up in bad German.
Ho, ho.
No, he usually wears a ho 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 shirt.
Seen that? They have that too.
Yeah,
I liked this Nakatomi Plaza.
Yes, yes. We try to dress up in 80s like Christmas gear or whatever, and we watch Die Hard. So it had to be in my list. So those are my 3.
All right. Let's get into the top 5 then.
Oh, this is so hard.
Every movie we've said so far is solid.
Yes.
Very, very good.
Children and Men, number 5.
No. Like I said, Christmas Vacation was my outside the top 5. Just watched it recently. Love it. It's hilarious. But number 5 that moved past it that I watch and I recommend to people all the time, Vince Vaughn's movie Fred Claus.
Oh my!
I had to move it up because I tell people, and a lot of people haven't seen it.
Yeah,
and it is absolute. Paul Giamatti plays Santa Claus.
Yep.
I mean, it is so. Rachel Weisz plays his girlfriend.
Yep.
It is so good, and I couldn't leave it off my list, man. I watch it almost every year, and I recommend it to people all the time and a lot of people have not seen it. Fred Claus,
Santa's brother.
Yep. And then one of your honorable mentions is number 4.
Let's do it.
4 Christmases.
Oh, see, you did good.
Dude, 4 Christmases is hilarious. Every time you watch it, I look forward to it. The scene where he goes, the actors, let's list off the actors. All right, you got Vince Vaughn.
Yeah.
Reese Witherspoon.
Yes.
Robert Duvall.
Yes.
Jon Favreau.
Yes.
Tim McGraw.
Oh, yes.
Kristen Chenoweth.
Yes.
Sissy Spacek.
Oh, my God.
I mean, this movie is loaded.
All hilarious.
Every story is hilarious and heartfelt.
Yep.
Like in just the whole writing in it is amazing. when they're beating the shit out of them, and then
yes,
and they have the safe word.
yeah,
That's so tough. That's and he's just like saying it. Vince Vaughn is the best, and I love Four Christmases, and we may watch it this weekend. I mean, I kind of recommended maybe we watch it this weekend.
You have to watch it. It is like 4 different funny comedy movies.
It is.
As they go to each parent's Christmas, it is gold. There's so many good lines in there that I remember all the time. Yep. Yeah, can't go wrong.
It's outstanding. All right, so number 3 on my list.
Yeah.
Elf.
Yes.
So can't ever leave Elf off. You can watch that every year and laugh. I mean, Will Ferrell, that's acting, because Will Ferrell, if you watch his, he's goofy and stuff, and he does a lot of slapsticky stuff. But I mean, he's a different person in that.
He fully commits.
I mean, you sit on a throne of lies.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
Your breath smells like what?
Sausage or
it's like
old something.
Something cheese.
Yeah, we just watched it like 3 weeks ago. It was one of the first Christmas movies we watched this year.
Yeah.
And it is just one of the best. The scene where she's in the shower and she's singing and he chimes in. But then on the soundtrack, it's so great. Like that's my favorite version of that. Because people have remade that song a bunch of time. I love that version of it. Ed Asner. Santa Claus was outstanding. Bob Newhart as the elf dad is excellent. James Caan. The way he turns from a complete dickhead to being like awesome.
Peter Dinklage, the angry elf.
Yes.
You're an angry elf.
You're an angry elf. Say it one more time. I get more action than you get. I get more action in 1 week than you get in your life, It's great. Yeah. So Elf, number 3.
Yeah.
Number 2.
Strong list.
The Santa Claus Part 2.
Oh, okay.
Santa Claus Part 2. I almost like it better than Santa Claus 1, but Santa Claus 1, there's just something about it. It's just, there's something special in Santa Claus Part 1. My number 1 is Santa Claus. The Santa Claus. And Santa Claus 1 and 2 are my top 2 on my list. I watch them every year. The thing I love about Santa Claus 2 is he has to get a wife. Yeah. In the process of going through that, and then the hardcore principal. Yeah. Who's smoking hot. I mean, when I first saw it, I went, "Oh my God, she's hot." There's something about her, like the way she stares and the way she's hardcore. Yes. And then she warms up, towards the end, and she smiles and laughs and stuff. But at first, she was just stone cold. Kind of like James Caan. Yes. Was the bad guy in Elf, and then slowly became one of the good guys. Yes. It was so good. The Tooth Fairy. Oh yes. The Molinator. Roy. I didn't even think of 2. Oh, it almost supersedes part 1.
One is in my top 5.
Yeah, it is excellent.
But 2
I highly recommend.
Really good.
I highly recommend watching the Santa Claus 1 and 2 if you have not. Santa Claus 3, piece of shit. But besides that, my son loves it. It's his favorite. Yeah. My son says the Santa Claus 3 is better than 1 and 2, and I almost beat him.
Did you kick him out of the house?
I almost ripped his arm off and beat him over the head with it.
Like, you're no son of mine.
No, he loves the Jack Frost character played by what's that guy's name?
Martin Short?
Martin Short, yes. Yeah. He just loves it. I don't. I think that I liked the series though, the Santa Clauses they came out with. That was done very well. I liked it too. But 1 and 2, there's just no beating those combination of those 2. Yeah. We'll look at if you look at newer movies like the Christmas Chronicles 1 and 2. Yeah. Very good, but they just don't have what the Santa Claus 1 and 2 of Tim Allen had.
Red 1, did it get close in the top 10?
Top 20.
Okay, top 20.
I put it 19, I think. I was categorizing everything. I had a paper list, and I would scratch stuff out, and I was moving, and then I'd put them on my phone at the end. But I liked Red 1, but it's not. It's not going to go up in that traditional, there's a lot of action in it. Yeah. It's really good. Krampus was great. Yes. Those scenes were outstanding, but I can't put it up that high. There's so many good Christmas movies. I think I had it at 19, and that was moving it up past a couple others because I realized I hadn't watched them in years. Yeah. And they probably were more outdated. So, but when you look at the Santa Claus and the feeling it gives you, and my kids were always like, "Dad, we need to knock Santa off the roof so you can become Santa Claus," when they were kids.
Dad, we need to jump him.
Yeah, you can, and so I just love that movie.
That's a good one.
It's number one for me, the Santa Claus. Scott Calvin is the best.
I think
and then Judge Reinhold.
Yeah. Oh.
Judge Reinhold is hilarious in it.
I think I'm going to make the kids watch it this weekend.
Oh, I love 1 and 2 so much. So those are my top 2. The Santa Claus. I mean, and there's so many. I can sit here. We could both sit here and listen.
Oh my gosh!
All the movies that we love, but it's just those ones that are special to us.
Yes.
You know, and we will rewatch again. That are just. I mean. Those are just, that list is as good as I could come up with, and we could have made a list of the top 20 easily.
Yeah, we agree on a lot.
Yep. All right, time for Brad's top 5 Christmas movies of all time.
Children of Men, number 5. No. So I start. My number 5 is Elf. Right with you. That is. It's usually one of the first ones we watch.
Yep.
And it's just, kind
of kicks off. It's either Santa Claus 1 and 2 or Elf are the first movies we watch.
The fact that Will Ferrell commits so hard to this character, it's just comedy to me. And a lot of the stuff they did in the city was just him running around, and you see like true New Yorkers, or looking at him like, okay, and then they just kind of keep walking. Yep. It's just right there, and
Oh, you know what's hilarious too? You know the reporter?
Yes.
And then the guy's like she's interviewing, she starts talking to the guy, goes, I really love your eyes. They're really good.
Yeah. that is so true.
Oh, it's great. There's just so many good parts of that movie.
It is. To me, I could watch it a million times and I will always find it awesome.
Yeah.
And that's
the lingerie.
Yes.
His dad.
It is the breakfast that he made.
Oh God.
So that's one of the reasons why it makes the list. If I can just continually watch it, even though I know every second that's coming, I still find joy.
Regurgitate the lines before they come out.
Number 4, Santa Claus. The Santa Claus. You're number 1.
It's in your top 5 at least.
Yes. So the ones that beat it are like the core things that I grew up in.
Yeah.
Tim Allen might be one of his best works ever. I just find him so charming in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Perfectly cast. Hilarious. You already talked a lot about it.
When I think about movie Santa Clauses, I don't think about anybody else but Scott Calvin.
Yeah.
Tim Allen. His portrayal. Kurt Russell, I would give him a close second.
He looks, when he wore that costume.
The best costume, Kurt Russell. Yeah. He wins best Santa Claus costume. And then the red one.
Yeah.
That costume may come in second place. Then Scott Calvin's costume would probably come in third.
I love it. I love that. I got to go watch the two of them again because you brought it up. But I remember when it first came out, I think I probably watched it. It was either like on HBO or whatever, one of the things in cable, probably like 10 times like the week before Christmas. Like every time it was on, I'm like, oh, let's watch it again. Good.
I saw it at the theater.
Oh my gosh.
Because that's one thing. I saw the red one on opening day.
Yeah.
That's one thing I will go see opening day for, is like a really good top-notch Christmas movie.
So good on the theater.
You know, the one that's going to be coming out next year. That's what I heard.
But the
Schwarzenegger, Alan Rickson one.
I'll be there.
All
right. Number 3 on my list is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Solid.
All you got to do is think, what's his name, Freddie? Cousin Eddie.
Cousin Eddie, yeah.
When he wore the white sweater with the black turtleneck that's just cut out with the square. Like, right that scene alone, to this day, I still nearly spit out my eggnog. It is so good. So funny. The doorbell in the beginning is like, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. Yeah.
What about the scene where he goes underneath the logging truck and then they go jumping in the Christmas tree lot?
We're here. I mean,
and the girl go out to get the Christmas tree. And,
yes.
And what's her name?
She's
a famous actress.
Yes.
I forget her name right
now. Yep, I know you're talking about.
She's like frozen.
Yes.
Her tongue, and then all of a sudden, Clark Griswold, like he starts talking, his tongue's frozen too. That's so good.
Rusty, did you bring the axe? Oh. Anyways, that was my dad's favorite Christmas movie, and some of my fondest memories of my dad is us watching this and him just laughing. Now, he was very Christian, very very serious Irish cop. But this movie just killed him, and we always watch it as a family. So, and I suckered my wife into watching it. So it's one of the ones that my wife and I always watch now. So she's been brought into it. So that's why it's number 3. Now the top 2 are me or the granddaddies. All right. So the one is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Solid. I can't argue.
I think I have watched that every year that I can remember. I mean, my mom made us watch it. My first nightmare was of the snow monster with the sore tooth.
Oh,
I'm talking like all of them. It was.
I was scared of that. Like, 2 things as a kid I was scared of: the Wicked Witch from Wizard of Oz, and the Abominable Snowman from Rudolph. When you're a little kid, and you got to remember back then, there's no streaming.
No,
you waited to watch Rudolph the one night a year that it was on a Friday night. Usually, you watch Rudolph, and then they usually had another show on right after it. And then there would be another Thursday night where they would have Frosty the Snowman.
It was terrifying. And I watched it now. I get my kids watch it now. And like I've rediscovered it with them. The little stop animation of like the little fuzzy, things. But my kids buy it. Like they've grown up in all 3D animation for pretty much their cartoons. Yeah. And they still love that movie. I mean, that's probably
Hermie.
Yes, it is. It is best. The music, like you said, the music, all of it. The
music's the best, and then the narration by Burl Ives.
I've watched that for five decades. I've watched that movie.
The bullying.
The bully, yes. I mean, Clarice. My son still gets upset that they make fun of his red nose. Like he gets into it. Like he literally he yells at the TV. So I started another generation of Eries watching this forever.
Outstanding. My kids watched it, but they unfortunately did not have the same reaction as yours.
Yeah, well,
when they were really your kids little, they liked it, but then as we got older, they did not want to watch it. I thought, Dad, that's old.
My daughter's kind of out of that kind of age now, but she's like, all right, we'll watch it.
Yeah.
But my son is still lives and breathes with Rudolph. I mean, every time we see like a little radio tower or something like the blinking red, he automatically assumes when we drive by our house, he looks. It is just convinced it's all real. I hope he never finds out. Which leads me to Ohio's number 1 Christmas movie of all time.
This guy's from Ohio, in case you don't watch the podcast.
Northern Ohio. About an hour and some change south of Cleveland. So Christmas Story, filmed in Cleveland. I've been to the house. I've had my picture taken by the leg, Fragile. All of it. We watch it. It's one of those things that comes on 24 hours on TNT, and we just put it on, and it plays the whole day.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter what scenes I see. I don't even have to watch it in a linear motion anymore. Oh, this scene. Okay. And then I'll go about my business. Oh, that scene.
Yep.
And we will watch it the whole time. And my wife's the same way. That's her favorite Christmas movie. My parents loved it. They started us watching that all the time. It is like, I don't even know how to open presents if that's not playing. Like it's always on.
It's so good. And I honestly, like when I started making my list, it was in the top 5 for quite a while. And then I finally just started going, I don't look, it's not that I don't not look forward to watching it. I like it when it's on. And I really like they made the last couple of years, they made the follow-up.
Yes, which I thought was good.
It was good too.
Yeah.
It wasn't like as good as the first one, but it was good.
Yep.
A lot of homages to, the original, and it was a really good movie too. But I love that. I can't argue it. It slowly went down.
Yeah.
Where it finished like.
Well, you're not from Ohio, where it's like, and you're beat into. But the guy who plays
it
the
as
dad.
much as some of the other movies. I just because it's on 24 hours a day, and at my mom's when we go up there for Christmas Eve, usually they have it on when we get there.
Yeah,
and if nobody changes it, none of the kids
it just goes
something else.
It'll
just keep going for like the 4 or 5 hours that we're there.
If anyone ever wanted to know who my dad was, I just say that movie because that is my dad. He's had battles instead of a furnace. He had an old bass boat, and he would go out into the garage, and you would just hear the swing of cuss words that would just go, and we're just like, oh boy.
My dad hardly cussed. Except when he was a mechanic.
Yeah.
But like fixing washers and dryers is apparently different than other things. And when he'd have to fix one of those.
Yeah.
I remember I never heard some of the word until I got older. I mean, he just like a sailor, like just cuss. Everything was cuss word on you. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. My dad, the church deacon, like on the board of our local little church, Mr. Gospel himself.
Yep.
Was all good until he went out to try to fix his boat, and then Jesus left him.
Bumpus's dogs.
Yes. Oh, yes. Well,
it is I think it rounded out it. I added Rudolph just because you have to acknowledge Rudolph. You're going to do a list of Christmas movies.
Yeah.
But I think it ended up as number 8 on my list.
Yep.
But I moved Rudolph.
I
had to say Rudolph because I didn't know if you were going to put it on your list.
Oh, it was going to be on my list.
So if I known it was on your list, it would have been just outside of number 7 on my list.
The problem with it is I think that TNT is probably slowly killing it because it's like probably over.
I don't think so because it's just 24 hours, you know.
Yeah.
And you could turn the channel.
It goes like midnight to midnight.
Yeah, like I would always go, okay, when does it start? Like if I didn't watch little bits and pieces of it, I wanted to watch the whole thing through. But I own it.
Man, that's such my childhood. Like me and my brother would be out there, not with the BB gun, but we'd be out there shooting like laser Star Wars guns at each other.
Yeah. Instead
of like he had like the robbers invading his house. For us, it would be stormtroopers, rushing down a corridor. I mean, it mirrored like a lot of my childhood.
Yeah. Good lists.
Those were very good lists.
I don't disagree with any of yours. You don't disagree with any of mine?
No. The second thought, I probably would have moved Santa Claus 2 up probably into the to the honorable mentions because you're right. I was so focused on the first one that I didn't even think about the other ones. But
the second one was just as good.
Yeah, it was just as good.
And sometimes I actually prefer it. But then I watched the first one. I go, this is why. That's why. It's the premise
of the first one, that like is you're just getting broken into this world.
Rose such a clatter company. The reindeer are hilarious. But remember,
so witty.
If you remember in part 2, they had Chet, the reindeer in training. The way he made noises and acted like it's just hilarious.
Yeah, 2 is really good. Now that you got me thinking about it, I would relate Alien and Aliens to Santa Claus 1 and 2. Like they're both prime, really good movies.
Yeah.
Terminator 1, Terminator 2. It's like it's hard to choose between them.
Very well done.
Yeah.
So they should have stopped and not made 3.
Yes, on almost all of those.
Almost anything. Third one is not needed unless it's Star Wars. The original Star Wars.
Yes.
Or the prequels, I guess.
But even the third one was the least strong, in my opinion.
Jedi?
Yeah. I think I go New Hope, I go Empire, then Jedi's kind of a distant
Empire thing. Is my favorite Star Wars movie or show of all time. Empire Strikes Back, the introduction of Yoda, the battle on Hoth. Yeah. When he first draws the lightsaber. But if you read the books, unfortunately, that was not the first time he was able to move stuff with the Force. But the first time he was able to summon something like that he had to life or death. But he had been able to move stuff before that scene.
It's such a good movie.
But that's not canon, so I guess.
It is in my heart.
I'm sorry, Kathleen. It's not canon. It's just those stupid books.
It all goes back to Star Wars. I shouldn't have brought it up. But still.
Hey, there was a Star Wars Christmas special.
Yes.
Complete horseshit.
That was bad.
The Lego Star Wars Christmas one.
Yeah.
I don't like it that much either. Better than the original Christmas one.
Well, that's not a high bar to clear. That is not a high bar.
All right, so we're going to talk, now that we're done with Christmas, we're going to talk.
Screw Christmas.
I always call him Magnum, but Tom Selleck's autobiography.
Oh, yes.
So it's called You Never Know.
I'm just going to let you cook on this one because I'm in. What.
So anybody who watches this podcast knows my favorite TV show of all time is Magnum PI.
Yeah.
Me and this guy are 51 years old. So in the 80s, You know, that was a prime
coolest
TV
show on TV.
It was so good, and you wonder, like as a kid, you go, does it hold up? Well, I own all 8 seasons on DVD, but I usually don't watch them because, except the one time I cut my Wi-Fi cord when I was painting the house, and I watched 2 seasons before they could repair my Wi-Fi.
Rough days.
Yeah, but I have them all on DVD. That's how much I love that show. So I love Tom Selleck. High Road to China, great movie. Lasseter, great movie.
Such a
Quigley Down Under. Yeah. The Sackets, Shadow Riders. I've watched all of his stuff. The only thing I don't really watch of his, and I've watched a few episodes, but it just didn't. It never grasped me, and I know I just need to go sit down and watch it more thoroughly. Was Blue Bloods?
Yeah,
he talks about it right at the end of the book in the epilogue. But it is.
I'm only watching Blue Bloods if he wears those short shorts again from Magnum.
I don't know if you want to.
I mean, he only needed like 2 inches below the crotch.
Yeah. So he talks a lot. He starts off talking about the prologue starts with him, his friend, and a girl getting a wreck.
Yeah.
On Mulholland Drive or whatever. One of those, the canyon, whatever it is. I forget off the top of my head. Down in Hollywood Hills or whatever. And so they roll down a cliff in a car, and his friend gets ejected. They all live, but they basically get ejected, and they roll down the hill really close to somebody's house.
Whoa!
And so those people called the ambulance, and then he spent quite a while in the ER.
I didn't know that.
And then his friend who got ejected survived, but spent more time, had more problems.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So it starts off that way. And so it talks a lot about his early life, his parents, how he was raised, also how he became, he went to USC. He was a walk-on the basketball team at USC, but then he eventually got a scholarship, but that he just kind of fell into acting by doing commercials and stuff and getting paid. So that down at that time they would
must be nice to be that good looking.
He was in Sigma Chi maybe or something, some type of fraternity. I don't know. I never pay that close of attention, but it was Sigma something. And so he was in that fraternity, and he just happened to people were going on a casting call for a commercial, and he ended up getting it or something. Then he started doing commercials, and he got an agent to do commercials. And then they were but it was just to make money.
Yeah.
He wasn't wanting to be an actor, per se. So he went through that process, and then he got little speaking commercial roles and, was making money and stuff. But then he got into actual acting. I'm just going to rush over stuff because this is a 17-hour book.
Yeah.
But I want to relate how great it is, because now that we're not talking as much Star Wars because of Kathleen Kennedy, that we're going to hit some of these things and things that we're passionate about. So I've been waiting. They originally were going to release this earlier this year, but apparently just kept getting delayed. I don't know why it was. Tom Selleck reads the whole book.
Yeah.
You're not having a shadow reader doing or anything. Tom Selleck does the book. And he also doesn't he has a high ethical standard, which is what I love about him. And he doesn't give shit away to people. He'll say stuff in the book and I know this is an autobiography but it's about my career. Yeah. And there's some personal stuff in there, but he goes, I'm not going to talk about some things because that's not my place to say.
Yeah.
So, and he doesn't try to throw people under the bus too much. He'll insinuate, that I wish somebody had done these things differently.
Maybe the next book.
But he also shows reasons why. No, that's just not the guy he is. But he has a lot of self-accountability himself. And I liked hearing all the self-doubt that he has and how actors have so much self-doubt. And they're hard
to believe you have that much self-doubt when you're that good looking.
Yeah, but as far as your acting ability and thinking stuff. So he eventually he had an agent, and the agent said that they were doing this thing for the studios used to get young talent, bring them in and develop them. Yeah. They had acting coaches, dancing coaches, voice coaches. They would bring people in to do this. And he went and interviewed, I think, at Fox or something, which was the very last one that had a program like this. But at the time, Universal or somebody had one too. And so the agent played him against each other and said, Fox, well, if you don't sign him by tomorrow, he's probably going to go to Universal. They did that type of thing,
Good agent.
So he got into Fox and got a contract as a developing talent and stuff, and was learning a lot. And he was in it with one of his best friends in it. And he was in a few of the Western shows with him, Sam Elliott.
Oh yeah,
they became really good friends in it, and so they
I
did the
could see that.
Sellecks together,
Yeah.
Shadow Riders together. So Sam Elliott had both. Other
Those are
people
some
did,
good mustaches between the two.
you're world class mustaches. But it was great. So he did that, and then he slowly. There was all these times where he did this role and that role, and he did a bunch of pilots before he got Magnum.
Yeah.
And he also did a bunch of guest starring roles on shows, and it makes me want to go back and watch some of these. So what really set him apart was his idol, and back at the time was Jim Garner in the Rockford Files.
Yeah.
Do you ever watch?
I can see that. Oh yeah.
Yeah, like he was the biggest, and he had an influence on him in his career. Jim Garner did, because he did a guest starring role where he was a PI.
Yeah.
And was it a PI or a lawyer? No, he was a PI, I think, in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. And so then he got called back to do another episode or two, like a best of like a thing where he came back in as like a reoccurring, like he'd been on before, he played the same character again.
Yeah.
You know, and so he got a lot of notoriety for that. And he had a lot of small roles that built up to the point of him getting the Selleck job.
Yeah.
And what's hilarious is on that job, the director didn't want him. He was a famous Western director. He had already cast the role, but the studio said, we don't like him in this role, the person, and we want to cast somebody else.
That's
so they
crazy.
brought a bunch of people in, and like Tom Selleck, you would think he did these Westerns and and stuff. He didn't know how to really ride a horse. So he had to be instructed, but he was honest about it to the director. So the director had him come to the casting call. And the director, even like later on in the movie production, he goes, I didn't even want you for this role. But he was kind of a dick, the director, but he was just tough. He was like one of those tough old school people. But that was kind of him saying, like, good job. I didn't even want you for this role, but you did a good job, or whatever. That was the insinuation of it. And then he finally found out the story of what had happened.
Yeah.
Too. And then the guy he originally was cast for the role was in the movie. And he said he was so cool. He goes, I didn't even know the whole time I'm doing the movie pretty much till the end, that this guy was the original person who had been, I don't remember his name.
Yeah. Sam
Elliott was in the show, like Ben Johnson, who's a famous cowboy guy, and then I always forget their names. But it's Selleck is really good. I watched it many years ago.
Yeah.
It makes me want to go back and watch it again.
You should.
And it makes me want to watch the episodes of the Rockford Files for Tom Selleck.
Yeah.
He's so young then too.
Yes.
We're talking, he started off doing it and stuff in like 69, 70.
I know.
And we weren't even born yet.
I know.
So just think of that career.
That's a whole different type of TV.
He started really acting when he was 50 years ago.
And he still looks better than me.
Yeah, he's
I mean, the guy is what?
Yeah. He
still looks good.
So he has to be in his upper 60s, early 70s almost.
Yeah.
And he plays.
I
don't know about Blue Bloods because I just don't watch it. So it makes me want to watch that too, because he talked about how much of a family and how good the quality scripts were and stuff. And I'm like, man, maybe I should watch that. My mom loves Blue Bloods.
Well, I think every mom loves every show on CBS.
Pretty good.
I mean, it's just.
My daughter likes Fire Country.
Oh, well, I'm sure why. Yeah.
She's like, Fire Country's really good. And I go, why? Because there's a hot guy as the star of it.
Hot blonde guy running through the forest.
So anyway, he had a bunch of pilots that he thought were going to go through. And the last one he really thought was going to go through was written by Stephen J. Cannell. And you know who that is, right?
I don't know who Cannell is.
Cannell? He wrote a bunch of big shows. He was huge. Do you know who Donald Belisario is?
Yes. Keep talking. Oh, we're still recording. Good. All right.
I thought you were going to say we weren't. I was like, God damn it. You son of a bitch, Brad. You're not the good technical director here. So anyway, you know who Donald Belisario is?
No.
All right. So anyway, Cannell had written a bunch of shows and had a lot of success. And Belisario, guess what? He was the showrunner for a while. And guess where he kind of disappeared to? He wrote another pilot that got picked up.
Magnum.
Airwolf.
Oh.
Didn't do as well as Magnum. But anyway, so
Airwolf is still
there was
awesome.
all the stuff. And what's great about when he talks about these things, you get to hear all the behind the scenes stuff. Meaning he's so passionate about the scripts, about not doing cliche stuff, about really trying to make something quality.
Yeah.
And he would stand up and fight for it. Like almost to the point of walking off or saying, hey, I don't want to do this, because of this. And he would fight for it.
Yeah.
And he would, and some of the best scripts were written by Donald Belisario. But when he started putting other pilots out, it's like he wasn't as engaged in the show anymore. And the show suffered for a little while. And then the Cosby Show went up against it and really killed its rate. It was number one. It was like number one in that time slot for like years. And then the Cosby Show comes out.
Cosby was a machine.
I think in the fourth season, and just started dominating. So they eventually moved the last 2 seasons to Wednesday night, and then they got back up in ratings again.
For people who weren't alive then, they don't understand that anybody against Cosby would just be
Cosby Show. Its first season, I think it finished number 6, and the second season it finished number 1,
and it stayed there.
And it just stayed there for years.
He was America's dad before he was America's rapist. Like we didn't know.
We didn't know he was raping and drugging everybody.
Yeah.
But what's interesting, he has these little side stories in it that are really cool. And he goes, And so basically, he goes, I don't know. I think it was in Hawaii, but it could have been at a show or something. But because he spent a lot of time in Hawaii, 9 months out of the year filming Magnum.
Tough job.
And he had talked about all these different things. He flew here and he flew there, and then he had to fly back and be back by Monday morning, you know, like all this crazy stuff. But he goes, this young, fresh-faced kid comes up and he goes, hello, Mr. Selleck. He goes, I just wanted to say hi, I love Magnum. And he goes, and I'm on a new show that's going to be competing against you, coming up, next season and stuff, it's going to be on soon. And it was Family Ties. It was like,
no way.
Came up and introduced us. I said what a big fan he was of Magnum and him, and his acting and stuff. And so he came up, and introduced himself. And it was just a little tiny. He does a lot of those little throw-ins.
Yeah.
Of stuff where he knows people or he met people, and just a lot of little connections there because it followed Cosby Show.
Yeah.
What a lead-in.
And
it was a great. And he even says it was a great show on its own.
Yeah.
He goes, but when you have a lead-in that's Cosby Show, you're bound for success.
I mean, you're only talking about at this point. There's only probably 6 shows that you're competing with at a time. Like you had like.
There's 3 networks basically, and then Fox started like when we were maybe after Magnum was already over, probably, or right at the last season or 2. Fox
so there was not a lot of competition, so the numbers were.
You have 3 networks, so those time slots.
Yeah,
you were going against 3 people, or if you had 2 half-hour shows like Cosby and Family Ties, you're going against 2 shows. So it was awesome to hear all those little side stories and stuff. But anyway. He films the pilot for Magnum. Yeah. And loves it. And he fought to get this Donald Belisario in. Like the first 2-hour movie is the pilot that they did. Don't Eat the Snow in Hawaii. Is what the name of the show, the pilot was. And I knew that too, because I always loved that title. It was like a good title. It's a great title. And that was the first one. And they were there's a guy who wrote the idea, Glenn Larson. Yeah. And he still got credit for a lot of it, but Belisario came in and was under Stephen J. Cannell, like tutelaged under him, and was writing these scripts. And every number 1 script they had the first like 3 or 4 seasons was like just top notch, where he won an Emmy or they were nominated for Emmys, was written by him. Yeah. And so at the end, you'll see Donald Belisario from The Office, and it'll say that at the end of each show. So. You had Magnum, he'd shot a pilot, but you don't know if you're getting picked up. Yeah. And so he knew that Magnum had done, it was CBS's number 1 screened show. So they screen all these pilots with audiences, and then they get scores. And Magnum was number 1 that year. And so they knew there was a good chance to get picked up, but he had so many that were said that were going to be picked up that weren't.
Can you imagine?
And guess who reaches out to him right when this is happening?
Oh,
Steven Spielberg and George Lucas, Raiders of the Lost Ark. They bring him in 3 or 4 times to test for it, and they tell him, we want you.
Oh, can you just imagine the parallel universe where, I mean, so he could still be making Raiders.
So here's better than Harrison Ford looks a little weaker, although he just played the Red Hulk, so he's coming up playing the Red Hulk. The CGI baby. But the whole thing is so they wanted him. Yeah. He was their choice. They wanted a fresh face. Now, Harrison Ford had done Star Wars already. He wasn't a fresh face. People knew who he was, but they wanted somebody brand new, a fresh face, and they really wanted him. Yeah. And he was much older. They both the pilot for Magnum and Raiders was through Universal. Yeah. Oof. And so Universal said, we don't want you doing both of them. Yeah. and the timing was rough, you know.
Yeah.
And then there was so what happens is they eventually go with Harrison Ford because they have a timeline they want to hit, right? And this is a very held secret thing. Like nobody knew the script except for the people that had read the script. Like Tom Selleck read the whole script because they wanted him and they wanted him to do it. And so they eventually went with Harrison Ford, but Tom Selleck was their choice. Can you
imagine?
But he wasn't upset about it.
Yeah.
He talks about it. He goes, I wasn't upset about it. I was doing Magnum, which I loved, and it was great. And I wanted to do Magnum. He goes, but I also wanted to work with Steven Spielberg and George Lucas. You know, he goes, he wanted to do both. He lobbied, and his agent lobbied to do both of them. We can just film this. And then what happens? Screen Actors strike. And it pushed Magnum way back, you know, like production for months and months, you know, like where they couldn't even start it. And so then they didn't really even say it was picked up. They knew it was going to be picked up, but they were pretty sure, but it just wasn't. So he was in limbo. So they're filming Raiders of the Lost Ark in Hawaii while he's there waiting to film Magnum. You know what I mean?
I know.
And he's just like sitting there going,
it's
across, a cool story.
You could actually look up test footage of him playing Indiana Jones. It's on the internet.
So that would have been
awesome. Great at it.
I think he would have been great.
But
he really is. He cares about, like, he has so much, like, am I good enough? Am I good enough to do this? He always has he had a lot.
He's got all the Riz, yo.
Yeah,
he's a Rizzler.
Yeah, I don't want to talk in those dumbass new terms by influencers, so they can. So it's such a cool story.
Yeah.
But then they dive into Magnum and the different seasons and stuff that went on why he was in Magnum, because he became a superstar.
Oh yeah.
Magnum was like very well
international sex symbol.
He won an Emmy for Magnum.
He became a sex symbol,
mega
star.
He was huge, and he's one of those few people that is a Hollywood actor.
Yeah.
And is conservative.
And he has chest hair. You don't see too many people showing off.
You know what I skipped over before? How much time you got?
I got about 10 minutes.
All right. So what I skipped over is he got in to be an Army Reserve during Vietnam, right?
Yeah.
And he never got shipped to Vietnam, but he also was a California Army Reserve infantry. They had to be deployed to different protests, to different stuff in California during the time. Remember, all the protests were happening and all that stuff. And then when Robert Kennedy got shot, Martin Luther King got shot, all these riots. So he's out there like with, you know, the Army National Guard during all these things. And
really?
And he was also a contracted actor for Fox in their development program too during that time. But he never had to go. But they thought they were going to get sent to Vietnam, but they never did. So, but it's an interesting story. And he goes, hey, more power to you if you want to protest. It's a free country. He goes, but that's not what I did. You know, I actually served during that time and stuff too. And he was really good. He was like he was a company commander or something. I don't want to say. Anyway, he led his group of people. Like he was really like they moved him up without going to officer school and stuff. They moved him up to the highest level that he could in their Army Reserve. Because he's a hard working, high ethical, puts all the effort in, you know, does all those things. He's that type of person. That's why he had success.
Which is, I mean, I believe it, but his character in Magnum was just so laid back and chill.
But it's acting.
I mean, it's. And, you know, I'd like to feel bad for him about missing on Raiders, but really working in Hawaii, driving a Ferrari.
I would have chose Magnum every time.
That's not bad.
If I was up for either one of those roles, and I got to choose which one I want, I'd choose Magnum.
Like,
every time.
Yeah, you could work for 9 months on a movie, or you could just work 9 years rolling around. And
the group of actors and the family they created there.
Yeah.
I mean, he talks about all that deep stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like it's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a family, and that's why it came off so much. And he talks about Blue Bloods like that, which makes me want to go, maybe I got to watch Blue Bloods now.
You might be a little too young. You know, check in about 10, 11 years, and be like, yeah, I'm really into CSI. And
I just don't like any of those shows. I'll watch Law and Order. I'll watch an episode and go, that was so good. And then I end up watching 3 or 4, and then I never watch anymore.
Yeah,
you know, I'm like, they're good shows. I don't know. I just could never get into it. But
if we're still doing this, when you're in your mid-60s, you'd be like, yeah, we're going to pick up where we have CSI Miami. And then what's your top 5 CSIs? Miami.
I'm considering watching Blue Bloods just because
NYPD.
All right, so anyway, he goes through all the trials and tribulations of filming Magnum, the ups, the downs. There's lots of ups and downs in everything, And so he goes through the whole. It was just awesome hearing all these backstories.
Yeah.
And then he also talks about while he was filming Magnum. Back then, TV stars were not getting movie roles.
Yeah.
They were cast as like, you're a TV star. You're not a
very separate
man in a movie. Everything was really separated. And I like to think, and I think he intimates in it that he had something to do with those crossovers because High Road to China.
Yeah.
Lassiter. And those were both movies that he filmed. He filmed Shadow Riders as a TV movie. So, but those 2 movies right there, why he was Magnum.
Yeah.
And he did a lot of other like stuff. Why he was
High Road to China, very underappreciated.
That was a cool story. So when you read the book, because Brad's gonna read the book too. When you read the book, the story of when he was filming High Road to China was cool because they were filming it in freaking Czechoslovakia, maybe.
Yeah, I gotta watch that movie.
Yugoslavia? I don't know. It borders
one of those.
They filmed it in one of the communist countries.
Yeah.
It was a communist country, and then part of it was filmed in Italy too.
Yeah,
but it was awesome. And the way he talks about his co-stars, he talks about Wilford Brimley.
Yes,
in it, like he talks about like he knew everybody. Like think about all the people that were guest stars.
Oh man,
on Magnum. Frank Sinatra. He became good friends with Frank Sinatra. Carol Burnett.
Can you imagine?
When he was on the Fox development team, he used to sneak over and watch the Carol Burnett show, like them do rehearsals. And he goes, then I became friends with her. And she did my show twice, and Magnum twice. And like he goes and like filled in for the Emmys.
Yeah.
Carol Burnett got sick and couldn't do the Emmys. And she asked him to fill in and be the host. He hosted the Emmys one year. So there's just so many cool stories.
He's
so I highly recommend
guy
it.
in the room.
I am even more of a fan now after listening to this. And he really opens up and tells you about his fears, his anxieties, the ups, the downs, the failures, the successes. It's really cool. And
why can't he run for president?
And he doesn't talk a lot about his personal life type stuff, but he does talk about like his wife, Julie Mack.
Yeah.
And how he met her and how their relationship developed. He talked about his first wife, but he doesn't get in because apparently there's lots of tabloid stuff.
Yeah.
But he still stayed a dad to his stepson. He remained all in his life all the way throughout. He was always a part of his life, his stepson.
I got 2 questions before I go about my guy. One, did he ever talk about insuring his mustache?
No.
All right, because I remember he shaved it off for like a roll and the whole world went mad.
Yeah. Remember no, he didn't talk
2,
about that.
Did he talk about any good mustache products, like to get the good sheen, thickness?
He didn't talk about the mustache at all, actually. He talked about He talked about how he picked out the clothing.
Yeah.
He goes, I have to be and he started with the hat.
Yeah.
So the Detroit Tigers hat. Then they go, well, we can't always be wearing that. And then they went with the military hat.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 hats he wore for the most part. But it was cool the way he talks about developing the character.
You got to make them higher.
Yes. Developing the character, doing the flashbacks, how much those things meant. That and how each show didn't always there was like an overarching, it was I'll tell you one quick story too from it. So I never heard this before, but I also wasn't reading newspapers or in the news when these things were happening. I watched Magnum probably from the 3rd season to the end, but my mom for a while didn't let me watch it because if you watch Magnum, they'll be in strip clubs.
Oh, there'll be girls in bikinis.
Lots of skin and stuff. So when I was younger, my mom, I think I hit an age where she goes, oh, I guess you can watch Magnum.
There's a gratuitous butt shot in the titles, right? Where he's like
helping her swim and snorkel or whatever, and he's just holding her. And he's like,
there's a butt.
It's great. But him and his stepson, he was teaching him how to drive a stick shift.
Yeah.
And they get up to the 3rd floor of the parking garage by the King Kamehameha Club. It was also, it's not called that in real life, but I think that's what it was. It's the Outrigger, the Hawaiian Outrigger Club or whatever. And he get up there and he goes, man, and he parked. He goes, he parked perfectly. And I'm congratulating him. And then he let off the gas and they hit the, at the 3rd floor. And they had the steel wires. We went right through it and went all the way down 3 floors and land and smashed. And there was a trailer that had the old, like one of their ancient, like outrigger that they did in competition. It was like really priceless, but it wasn't on the trailer. They hit this trailer instead of the cement, and they think that's what caused them to be saved or not. Have severe injuries. And this is wild.
He
talks about it. He goes, there's twice in my life. He goes, you don't get lucky. He goes, I literally, as we were going over, the thought was, you don't get lucky twice.
Yeah.
And so, that was the thought that flashed through his mind. So that was an interesting one. But they were both fine. They were banged up a little bit, but they weren't injured.
We got to continue this. You got to tell me more because I can listen to this.
Well, we won't do it on a podcast, but we'll do it in real life. But so that's it for this podcast, and we may do an end of the year review next week after Christmas or something. Because I'll be off and I won't be, but I will be coming to the gym to work out because I have to for the High Rocks race that I'm preparing for. So. We may come in and do an end of the year review, but if not, if something falls through because Brad can't show up,
kids, bro,
then have a great New Year, have a Merry Christmas, and we will see you in the New Year. Probably not as many times as we'd like.
Happy Hanukkah to Matt for our Jewish friends out there.
All right, cool.
Happy holiday,
Happy Kwanzaa.
Yeah. And any other pagan holidays you guys like to listen to?
I don't know.
We're out.